Hey y'all, it's Olivia and Shaquana from the Center for Community Alternatives. Thanks so much for your participation last week. We hope you enjoyed your lesson about female reproductive anatomy as well as our Jeopardy challenge from last week. Today we're going to be diving into our second topic, puberty, where we'll discuss the different stages of puberty, including the physical, social, and emotional changes. So today you can expect to describe at least 3 changes that occurred during puberty, differentiate and identify the social, emotional, and physical changes of puberty, and explain one thing you can do to manage these changes. Similarly to our first 2 lessons, you should each receive a worksheet packet which you'll use to follow along with the workshop. When you've completed this workshop, make sure you fill out the participation questions and the question box and turn these last 2 sections of the worksheet into the coordinator.
Okay, let's get started. Please flip to page 3 of your packet. Today we will be talking about puberty. Many of you have probably heard the term puberty before and even experienced some or all of the changes of puberty already. Even though everyone experiences puberty, not everyone knows the definition of puberty or even why it happens. So let's start off our conversation today by defining puberty. Puberty is the period during which adolescents or young adults reach sexual maturity and become capable of reproduction. Every person has to go through puberty, and even though it's different for every person, there are some common characteristics of the stages of puberty. Today we're going to start off our review by going over the physical characteristics of puberty.
So there are 3 types of changes that young people experience when they're going through puberty: physical changes, social changes, and emotional changes. First, we're going to take a look at the physical changes. What you see in front of you is a list of physical changes that people experience when they go through puberty. You may notice that on the list there are some physical changes that are specific for people who have uteruses, otherwise commonly referred to as people with female bodies. And there are also some physical changes that are specific to people with penises, otherwise commonly referred to as people with male bodies. We'll review all of the physical changes as a whole today. So for this first activity, you're going to take a look at page 3 of your workbook. Below the word bank are different descriptions that explain the individual physical changes that occur during puberty. We'd like you to match the physical changes in the word bank to the description that explains it below. We're going to give you a few minutes to review the word bank and then write down the matching physical changes to the descriptions on your worksheet.
Okay, great job everyone. Now we're going to go over the worksheet. So the first one is get taller. Number 2 is growing breasts. Number 3 is weight gain. Okay, so number 4 is getting hair under the arms, on legs, and around genitals. Number 5 is getting acne. Now let's move on to number 6, which is hair texture may change. Number 7 is hormones are raging. Number 8 is voice deepens. So number 9 is spontaneous erections. Number 10 is voice cracks. Number 11 is menstruation. Number 12 is wet dreams. Number 13 is hips widen. Number 14 is muscle growth. And lastly, you may have guessed by now, number 15 is sweat starts to smell. Great job, everyone.
All right, y'all, great job. Now that we've discussed the physical changes of puberty, we're going to review the social and emotional changes as well. So let's turn to page 6 of your workbook, where you're going to see a list of some of the common social and emotional changes experienced during puberty. So to review, let's start with the social changes. Some of the social changes experienced during puberty include: you may want to try some more riskier things. You may be more interested in being or spending time with your friends. You may have more conflict with your parents or guardians. You may start to become more interested in others as more than friends and/or interested in finding a partner. And peer pressures may increase for you. Now let's review some of the emotional changes experienced during puberty. You may experience mood swings, where you feel great one minute and then you might feel really sad or angry the next. You may experience anxiety, stress, or intense feelings. You may begin to feel self-conscious about how your body looks. You might feel like you're becoming more indecisive, so you might have a hard time making up your mind, or you might feel like you are unsure a lot. You might feel paranoid, like everyone is looking at you or talking about you. And lastly, you might start thinking things like, who am I? And begin trying to define yourself. Considering what you now know about puberty, from the physical changes to the social and emotional changes, let's think about how you might be able to deal with these changes. Please turn to page 7 of your workbook. Thinking about all of the changes of puberty, please take a moment to write down 3 suggestions for how you can deal with all of these changes. We're going to give you around 2 minutes to complete this worksheet.
So, how was that? There are many ways that someone can cope with the changes of puberty, as you might have seen while you were writing down your answers. Some examples of the ways to cope with the emotional changes of puberty include: recognize you're not alone. Although not every teen experiences mood changes to the same degree, they are very common. Catch your breath or count to 10. Try to look at the situation from the point of view of a wise observer. Talk to someone you trust. Friends can help each other by realizing that you're not alone in your feelings. Talking to parents or guardians is important too. Plus, they'll appreciate it if you try to explain how you feel. Teachers and counselors are also good resources. Keeping feelings inside can make them seem so much worse. That's why it's so important to try and find someone you can talk to. Exercise. Regular exercise produces more beta endorphin, which is a hormone that controls stress and improves mood. Go for a run, play some basketball, do some push-ups, ride your bike, or punch a punching bag. Get enough sleep. Getting adequate rest is very important. Being tired can definitely lead to more sadness and irritability. Create. Getting involved in some sort of a project, like starting a journal or a diary. Writing can help you organize and express your thoughts and feelings. Starting an art or music piece. Put your feelings into artwork. Cry. There's nothing wrong with crying. In fact, it often makes a person feel better. However, if you find that you are sad, irritable, bored, hopeless much of the time, or if you just can't seem to shake the blues, you might be depressed and need help from counselors or doctors. If you feel stressed or angry a lot of the time, getting help could be very useful to you. And finally, wait. Just as you can get into a bad mood or for what seems as no reason at all at times, that mood can also pass. If your negative mood does stick around too long though, or if it's interfering with the way you deal with friends, family, school, or activities, then you may want to talk to a school counselor, a parent or guardian, or a therapist about what you can do to feel better. Now we have a better idea of what to expect when going through puberty, but we also have a good idea of how we might be able to deal with some of these common changes.
All right, y'all, thanks again for all your participation today. As a reminder, today we were able to discuss the different changes that occurred during puberty. We discussed the difference between the physical, social, and emotional changes of puberty, and we brainstormed ways to deal with the different changes of puberty as well. And just remember, puberty is a normal part of life that every person experiences, and while it may include a lot of confusion and some possible discomfort, it's a vital part of the process of growing up and transitioning into adulthood. Before you all finish up, make sure that you fill out the participation questions worksheet, and if you have any questions, fill out the question box section. Once you're done with that, hand it in to the coordinator. Thanks again, y'all. We'll see you all real soon.